Good morning, greenies. How's everybody doing today? Ready for another exciting day here? Morning, Lita, Jimmy. I don't anticipate an exciting day, but awesome. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So yesterday was an improvement. Right? It was, it's still in an uptrend. The market has just been, trying to throw as many off track as possible. Staying to the big picture has helped tremendously. But the day-to-day, of course, has been more difficult, and it's been more difficult to find trade setups. We've done okay, but gap down, sell off, bottoming tail after a consolidation, gap up above the consolidation, unfilled gap up here. So that's the way the market wants to be right now. It's trying to work its way to resolve this uncertainty, and kind of been the theme of the year. Just goes, on, and it's just a consolidation after a run so far. So that's the way it is. Nothing we can do about it. We deal with it day to day. Today we've got markets are down a little bit. No big deal. Right? Consolidating actually can viewed as a bullish little consolidation, bull flag kind of stuff. Good morning, John. So as long as it does, we're not back down below today's low tomorrow in the spiders, the assumption is it's going higher and we're just consolidating. If we can get above today's high, yesterday's high, I should say, well, that's a positive. Below yesterday's low, that's a short-term negative. So we'll see where it's going to go. An inside day means we're going to be bored to death. In a narrow range inside day going nowhere. So we'll see how things unfold here. So far, that's what we're looking at. Qs, inside the 2 days up in there, and down a little bit. NVIDIA getting beaten down and AMAT getting beaten down a bit there. So semiconductors weren't having a good day yesterday. One of the reasons the NASDAQ was lagging. So we'll see if they recover or they stay weak. Micron MU was also weak. Its earnings are out already, but that sector seems like it's not the place to be unless we can find some bear call spreads or shorts. We'll see. We can find something there. The Russell, neutral, but hey, it was an improvement. The only way to look at it. Red bar breaking down within this consolidation, which was one bearish day within a big consolidation. Which, in other words, the day before or yesterday, that actually is the day before yesterday, this is in a 24-hour chart, didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. So this green day didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. These red days didn't mean a whole heck of a lot because it's just going sideways nowhere within this range that's been created over the last, couple of months or so. Now the transports are another story. It's like, hey, up above the prior high, shallow pullback to the rising 20. What's that about? Well, in part, crude oil being weak at this time, but that's flip-flopping around as well. But this is a good sign. The markets that the transports are going up. And, the Dow had a great day coming off of the low. I mean, that was the news in the media, Dow up 400, yada, yada, wherever it didn't close up 400, but it had a good day. So there's positives and there's negatives and there's uncertainty. So we just deal with it. Futures here, neutral, consolidation up at the top of yesterday's range. So now we got a 24-hour chart and uptrend, pullback, little downside shakeout. I don't know if today will be an inside day, but if it can take out yesterday's high, it should be moving up above this high. Now, I don't like when highs are so close to the pullback because it does raise the possibility of a double top happening. So that's if we get above yesterday's high and we move up there, we're going to be keeping a close eye on the reaction to that high. What we want to see is it exceeds it. And my anticipation from before this Turkish news, the tariffs, was that we'd see new all-time highs. Well, that didn't happen in the moment, but I think it's just a temporary stall here in this pullback. And I like this price action with the dip down and this powerful reversal. So right now it's just resting, and hey, it's Friday, it's August. I don't have big expectations for the market's doing something today, but if it starts moving, we'll be ready. NASDAQ not looking so great. Doesn't look terrible. It's really the kind of pattern that we see some distribution. We see that double top. We see the breakout failure. Look at the topping tail right at the high here, and it's underperforming. But it's also the kind of pattern that I know can bite you being short. And regardless of the semis, I mean, look at this. This isn't barely breaking any support here. It's under yesterday's low. I wouldn't trust it on the short side other than for day trading because it's in an uptrend. So if this is going to get weaker, let it get weaker, and then we will look for more bearish scenarios. But on a case-by-case basis, like PayPal and some of the others that are showing relative weakness to this, we're doing okay with those. So the markets are a big part of our analysis as to our bias and what we look for, but there are stocks that are on their own page, sometimes bullish or bearishly, and that's what we look for. Dow futures, and 24-hour chart, big day up after a bottoming tail at the prior high, typically results in a consolidation day, which kind of brings us back to don't have any big expectations for today, making a big move. But if it does start moving, we'll go with it. Right? Ideally, it's not back down again because that would be crazy. Right? This is a big, wide range bar after a bottoming tail bar. To create a big down bar today would, just as far as historical patterns, would be insanity. But let's see. It's supposed to either consolidate or continue higher. Bonds grinding up there. We don't really like that because that means interest rates are coming down. We'll see where it goes, or whether if this turns into a red day, I kind of like it, but doesn't really mean much in the scheme of this particular chart. But we'd rather see bonds coming down and those intermediate to long-term interest rates stabilize and moving higher. Oil bouncing off of the 200 here.
So, Greg, why do you think XLU was so strong with bonds doing that?
Utilities, I'm not sure. As interest rates are coming down, that actually does support XLU, because if you can't get yield in bonds, you go to utilities. Bonds being the safest thing you can put your money into, as little interest as they're paying. But if you want a higher rate of interest, you go to utilities. You go, and then from there, you go to stocks, preferred stocks that will pay an interest. And when you buy a stock, even a utility, you take capital risk. So there's a little more risk, a little more yield and reward. But you don't know what you're doing. What appears to be safe, if the stock starts going down, your capital is going to diminish tremendously, and that yield is not going to cover it. So falling yields actually support utilities.
Yeah, just like all those oil companies that got smacked and people buying them because of the high supposed dividend yield.
And I could find stuff out there that's paying 14, 15%. But it's true. And I could do it in a couple of minutes with the scanner. that doesn't mean you really want to put your money there to get that 14, 15%. It could be fine, but if you don't know what you're doing.
That's the lesson that you and I know, but many unfortunate, innocent people, particularly those relying on a broker salesperson, get sucked into that.
Well, same. Well, you know what? In the brokerage industry, it's so regulated that God help the broker that does that to somebody, whereas in this particular industry, saying that, buy my indicator and you'll be making money hand over fist. No one's going to be knocking on that guy's door. But as a licensed broker, you're going to have a problem when you get caught. But I hear what you mean. It doesn't mean somebody won't do it. Every criminal thinks they're going to get away with it. So, gold stabilization here. Maybe it bounces a little. We shall see. We're not interested in gold.
Hey, good thing you added yesterday then.
I keep adding. It'll come back. It's a commodity, kind of, right? Well, not really. It's not sold as a commodity, but I don't care. I just keep averaging down.
Exactly. You can't drive it. You can't eat it. You can't, grow crops with it.
It doesn't matter. I'm not going to lose money.
All right, we'll see.
If I pass away, my widow will get some insurance money and she can keep averaging down. And someday, if she passes on, the kids can average down and so on and so forth. All right. Euro bouncing a little bit. So maybe that's a positive for the markets, that there's some relief over there in these currencies that are getting smashed. Overall, I think the takeaway here is, look, we'll find for opportunities like we always do. But at the moment, the expectation is we're probably in for a boring day. So let's not press the accelerator unless someone says, flashes a big sign, it's time to press it. So there you go. One last thing, I want to look at Bitcoin. Since it's recovering a bit here after dipping under 6,000, maybe it can get something going. Not something I'm interested in the moment, but the pattern is one that maybe this is the low. I don't know. But it's trending down and we'll see. Give it a little bit more time. I do like the fact that it had this dip and came right back again, but that's only a short-term event that historically does suggest some type of a bounce. And while it is bouncing a bit here, of course you can see that, it hasn't cleared any resistance. So big deal until it can push up toward 6,800 or so. Then we could say, well, maybe that is the low. We shall see. And that is it from me, guys.